Have you ever designed a document yourself only to be less than happy with the results? Maybe you used a template, but your design didn't look as good as the original. You can't put your finger on exactly why it's off. It just is. Frustrating, right? Principles of design to the rescue. Hello, I'm Tess, the Content Marketing Manager over at Bengage, and I'm here to tell you about the 13 basic principles of design. If your designs are lacking that je ne sais quoi, these principles can be a big help. And don't worry, you don't need to be a graphic designer to understand them. I'll explain each one in plain English with lots of tips and examples to help you up the ante on your next design. But before we dive in, make sure you hit that subscribe and bell button so that you never miss any of our helpful design guides. Okay, let's get started. Principle number 1, unity. Unity is about ensuring the various elements in a design work well together. This principle, it's really more of a goal. It doesn't come with concrete rules. But if you follow the other design principles in this video, you'll achieve unity. In other words, you don't need to overthink it. Bear in mind, unity doesn't mean sameness. Rather, it's about combining similar or related elements, like complementary colors, shapes, and textures, in a visually pleasing way. What does that look like? Here's an example of unity across an entire design. Notice how the different elements combine to create a cohesive whole. The entire infographic is themed with icons and illustrations representing the topic: tests, experiments, diabetes. This is a perfect match for the scientific nature of the content. You can also see several other design principles at play, like contrast, the reds versus the blues, rhythm and movement, the dotted lines direct the eye, and repetition, the visual elements like bubbles and test tubes repeat. By the end of this video, you'll be familiar with all of these principles, so stick with me. Principle number 2, emphasis. Emphasis tells the reader where they should look first. Generally, you want to place emphasis on the most important element in design. Ask yourself, what's the one thing your visual absolutely needs to convey? Got it? That's what you should emphasize. Without emphasis, a design may be monotonous or confusing. The reader may not know where to look or which pieces of information they need to retain. Think of it this way: what's easier to read, a big block of text or a nicely formatted page with headings and subheadings? Obviously, the latter. In design, you can place emphasis on imagery, charts and graphs, or any other important information in addition to text. Here's a cool example. See how the designer made a break in this pear illustration and put the most important word there? This moves the emphasis from the pear to the fact that so much food goes uneaten. Cleverly done. Side note, all of these examples are templates you can edit in Bengage for free. If you're not familiar with Bengage, it's a user-friendly design tool anyone can use to create stunning infographics, presentations, reports, and so much more. To find the templates in this video, just click through to the blog post linked in the description box below. Okay, next order of business. Principle number 3, rhythm. Rhythm is all about applying design elements in a way that can suggest movement, patterns, or action. This principle ties in closely with repetition and movement, which I'll talk about in a sec. It can provide visual energy and vitality, just like its partners, repetition and movement. How? Well, there's no one way to find a rhythm in a design. Just like music, your design can showcase an alternating rhythm, a repetitive rhythm, or even a random rhythm. Example time. The designer here alternates between 2 main colors, which creates, you guessed it, an alternating rhythm. This type of rhythm works well within this balanced 2-column design. The repetition also creates unity, which coincidentally is also known as harmony. Principle number 4, contrast. Contrast isn't just about color. You can create contrast through font choices, shapes, patterns, textures, and much more. For example, you could combine a rough texture with a smooth texture, or place a large graphic next to a small one. Wherever you use contrast, you'll draw the reader's eye. So one of the main reasons to use this principle is to grab attention, which is why this principle is especially handy for conveying crucial information, like in this COVID-19 symptoms chart. Obviously, the red column for COVID-19 symptoms contrasts with the blue columns, but the typography also shows contrast. The bold headers stand out against the lighter text. The contrast between the white and shaded boxes makes the table easier to read, too. You know who else were masters of contrast? The geniuses behind Star Wars. Some of the original trilogy's most epic scenes use contrast to create a dramatic, memorable mood. Exhibit A. Principle number 5, proximity. Proximity refers to grouping elements together to emphasize their relationship. The eye tends to naturally read elements near each other as being related, even if they lack other unifying characteristics. See how the shapes on the left feel like one group and the shapes on the right another, even though they're not all the same? Neat, right? You can start to see how, by changing the distance between design elements, you could add meaning to a visual, which is especially useful for data visualizations, like this annual report. This is a perfect example of the proximity principle in play. Try saying that 5 times fast. There are 4 distinct quadrants to this design. Each graph lives under a descriptive header and is close to the related data. If the graphs were further apart or there was less of a gap between each quadrant, the whole report would be harder to read. Pro tip: Bengage makes it easy to visualize complex data, numbers, statistics, and more with our large selection of charts and graphs. You can customize a graph or swap it out in a few quick clicks and upload your data manually or via a spreadsheet. No need to wrestle with PowerPoint or word charts. Save time and effort on your next project with data visualizations made for business. Principle number 6, repetition. Repetition refers to using identical or similar elements throughout your design. It's one of the best ways to achieve hierarchy. I'll touch on that in a sec. You'll often see this principle applied to headings, patterns, lines, and shapes. Think of a repeating pattern in the background of a presentation, or a colored line dividing different sections of a report. Repetition is easy to use, thus easily abused. Too much repetition can become monotonous, so tread carefully. Here's an example of repetition done right. Notice how the triangle pattern repeats on every page, how the colors are consistent, and the line treatment repeats on pages 3 and 5. All of these repeated elements contribute to a cohesive, unified design. Principle number 7, variety. Variety is a surefire way to spice up your designs, and spicing up your designs will keep the reader from visually tuning out your content. Win-win. You can create variety with just about any design element. Shapes, colors, typography, you name it. Just remember not to go overboard. The key is to achieve a balance of variety and repetition, like in this example. You can see there's a lot of repetition here. The beer glass icons, the text treatment, but this repetition actually emphasizes the variety of colors used for the different types of beer. Since the color is the only visual variety in this infographic, it stands out beautifully and gets the point across succinctly. Principle number 8, alignment. Alignment is as important in design as in business. This principle refers to how different elements on a page relate to each other and is closely related to proximity too. By lining up certain elements, you can organize a design and create balance or structure, all of which helps the reader understand information, like in this customer statistics report. Aligning the bars in the graph to the right make it easy to digest the data, while the bottom section shows how aligning the text below each icon creates snackable pieces of information. Also, notice how the headings and supporting icons align with each other for visual consistency. Principle number 9, proportion. Proportion is the relative size of all the elements on a page. That includes imagery, graphics, patterns, text, and well, pretty much everything. The spatial relationship between elements has a lot to do with the success of a design. Again, this principle is closely related to other principles like contrast and emphasis. By changing the proportion of one item relative to another, read size, you can create contrast and place emphasis on your item of choice. Check out this business card, for instance. The striking photography in the background of this card could easily steal the show, but instead, the name of the photographer stands out because of the scale of the text compared to everything else on the card. Principle number 10, white space. White space, or negative space, isn't necessarily white. Rather, white space refers to the distance between items. In minimalism, designs use a lot of white space. In maximalism, the opposite is true. This business card showcases a minimalist design. Lots of white space draws attention to the teacher's name and gives off a cool, confident vibe. No big deal. Principle number 11, hierarchy. Hierarchy isn't just for the royals. In design, hierarchy refers to the relationship between elements. It's closely related to proportion, emphasis, and alignment. How does it differ? The key thing to understand here is that hierarchy establishes the order of importance in a design. The most common way to do this is through size. Simply put, the most important elements in your design should be the biggest, like the cascading text in this infographic. Principle number 12, movement. Movement helps the eye flow through a composition. By using principles like hierarchy, repetition, and rhythm, you can create movement that will help the eye shift naturally from one element to the next. You can even use a motif to create obvious movement in the direction you want the reader's eye to flow, like the paw prints in this cute pet costume infographic. Principle number 13, balance. Balance isn't about balancing the scales. In other words, it doesn't refer to giving elements equal weight, although you may do this in a symmetrically balanced composition. But really, balance refers to how you distribute the elements in a design harmoniously. You'll want to make sure that different sections take up an appropriate amount of space for their importance, like in this infographic. The designer here has created an asymmetrical balance with the tips on the right and the colorful illustrations on the left. This creates an eye-catching composition. It's not equally weighted, yet it strikes the perfect balance. Okay, now you know the 13 basic principles of design. Maybe you notice they all have something in common. They're about helping the reader. Whether you're creating a report, brochure, infographic, presentation, or whatever the case may be, your design can help make the information easy to understand. Thankfully, you don't have to go it alone. You can find every template in this video and thousands more in Vengage's template library. Just go to vengage.com/templates. If you have any questions about these principles or suggestions for topics we could cover in the future, please let us know in the comments below. And if you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button and the bell notification button so you never miss a new video. All right. That's it for me. See you next time for more design tips and tricks.